High fly ball into right field. She is gone. In a year that has been so improbable, the impossible has happened. This one by Mattingly. Oh, hang on to the roof. Goodbye, home run. Mattingly. Top likes one. Deep left field. Down the line. That ball is out of here. Out of here.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Tablesetters, and this is a really fun one for episode 130. As always, I'm Steve, joined by my tag partner, Devin. What's going on, man?
What is up? Well, I have my general manager hat on. Steve has his general manager hat on. We're ready to pick some teams kind of randomly. It's the off season. It's a slow off season, as everybody is saying out there. So we're coming up with some fun stuff to keep the baseball talk alive. And let's go, man. I'm ready. Let's see who puts the better team together.
So to explain what we're doing here, we have a box, or I should say we're going to share a screen in 1 second with 30 teams under some boxes, each team under each of these numbers. We do not know which team is under which number. We have to fill out all positions in baseball, including one starting pitcher, a DH, and a closer. So we have to build our rosters. And at the end, we will compare our rosters to see who constructed the best of all of these. So Devin, as you said, ready to get going?
Yeah, and we'll put it out there eventually on socials too, so you guys can kind of vote on it and debate who had the better lineup and all that stuff. But we'll try to put a batting, like a 1 through 9 batting lineup at the end once we know who we have as well, to put our manager hat on at that point. But yeah, I think this might be harder than we think it's going to be because we don't know which teams are going to pop up. So let's get it going. Let's see who we get on our teams here.
All right, so we're going in here right now, and we have a whole bunch to pick from. So, Devin, we're going to let you open up here and take a look. Pick one. All these numbers, I'll click it, give you a team, and you got to pick which position they're filling out.
All right, so I always wore number 7, or at least most of the time would wear number 7 in my baseball days. So let's go 7 here.
Oh, we got the old logo.
Wrong logo. Wrong logo. Yeah, we might have to bleep it out and edit it there. Sorry, guys. All right, the Cleveland Guardians here. I mean, I'm not going to hesitate on this one. I'm going to put Jose Ramirez at my third base spot right away.
All right, so your third base is filled out with the old. We got, Wild Thing, whatever you want to do.
Who
Pedro
knows
Serrano.
what's going to happen? Yeah, who knows what's going to happen in this episode?
I'm next here. I'm going to pick my favorite number. It's right next to you, and it's number 8. And we're going with the Texas Rangers. So this is a nice spot to be in, of course. I could go one route. My initial thought is, of course, going with one of your favorite guys. But I'm going to kind of vary it up here. I'm going to go with Wyatt Langford in left field and build out my lineup with my showcase young player that I think is going to really take the next step next year.
I was really hoping when the logo came up, they surprised us again, and it was that the Tatas hat.
Exactly, yeah.
But, couldn't get everything we wanted. All right, so a good start here. You got a youngster. I got a dependable veteran. Does it every single year. Let's go with the number of one of my favorite players of all time, David Wright. Show me number 5.
Oh, your favorite team, Devin?
Oh, no, and they're trading everybody away. All right, this one's a little harder, so give me a second here. I have to think about it. So third base is closed. We're not going there. Traded Wilson Contreras away. Oh, this is a tougher one. I mean, am I allowed to go with a current minor leaguer? Because there's part of me that wants to do that.
Well, I think one of the ways we should assess this going forward is projected WAR, and then maybe we'll use this as an assessment at the end of the year of the WAR accumulated at the end of the season to see who truly put the better team together. If we're going to keep this in the archives,
I'm going to be honest, Steve. This is a rough roster. I'm scrolling through the depth chart just to make sure I'm not forgetting anybody. There is a big part of me that just wants to take the kid, JJ Weatherholt, but I'm going to, all right. We'll take Mason Wynn and put him at short. You're going to get solid defense. I think he's going to continue to grow as an offensive player little by little. So I think you could do worse. Brendan Donovan's there, and I could put him a few different places actually with the versatility. Probably on his way out soon, if we're being honest, but we'll go Mason Wynn. We'll lock down the defensive side of the game here. Mason Wynn. So that left side of my infield is set. Mason Wynn, Jose Ramirez.
All right. So Mason Wynn is a winner. He's a hard-nosed player. One of the reasons to go out and check out the Cardinals this year, of course, not many reasons. Mason Wynn is a guy you love to watch play, but I'm going to go one of the double-digit numbers since we've been staying in the single digits. I'm going to go all the way at number 30 here with the San Francisco Giants landing over here and looking at their team. A lot to like on this team. You really do. I mean, you could go third base, which, of course, that showcase player they acquired last season, on all the great stuff happening over there. But you know what? I'm taking a look at this, and I'm probably going to go swinging big here. Starting pitcher. I'm going to go Logan Webb. He's going to be my ace of the staff. Love that move here. Logan Webb is going to be my guy, and I'm going to move forward with a guy. And I don't know if you can get much better than Logan Webb as far as anchoring your staff, because I don't want to run out of starting pitchers, and I want to make sure I get my guy.
I mean, you might have the best guy there if you're looking for a guy with 200 innings, right? Like, who's going to do that better? Some people have sexier stuff, but that dude is dependable as it gets. So all-star caliber player, perennial all-star. So yeah, I'm a little jealous of that one, to be completely honest. I think that's the right pick from the Giants roster in this type of activity we're doing right now. All right. Show me the numbers here. What do we have left? Okay. In honor of a recently departed Met that I loved, and now is actually not going to wear this number anymore in Baltimore. Give me number 20 for Pete Alonso here.
Oh, nice.
Ooh,
very active
fun.
Pirates.
Okay. Well, you just took a very nice starting pitcher, and I feel blessed here. I feel blessed. Okay. Vote for me, guys. Paul Skeens in my starting pitcher spot.
How could you go wrong here? Paul Skeens, and comes with Livy Dunn, right? Has to.
Hell yeah.
You got all the buzz over there. And maybe they were going to use the Zesty Pirate. They didn't use that logo. They used the very sharp P here. So we got
once he saw Chief Wahoo, all bets were off. But it seems like we're going back to being pretty conservative with the rest of these logos.
Yeah, Chief Wahoo is a throwback for sure, but he disappeared for good reason in the world of baseball. But what do they call the pirate guy? Does he have a nickname? The one, the Buckaroo dude that's out there with they call him Zesty Pirate. That's I've heard him being called.
I actually don't know if he has a proper name. I don't know.
All right. Well, I'm going to go for number 25, the first baseman, Mark Teixeira. Always makes me have an affinity. And I see it peeking out from under there. There's no takebacks here. It's the Miami Marlins over here. And we had talked a lot about Miami in our last episode. A lot of good players, a lot of good conversation about them. It's hard to discuss maybe some of the, if we're going with the assessment of accumulating WAR at the end of the season, you want to take the best of each position. Looking at the corner outfield, I already took a left fielder, Wyatt Langford. I could potentially go with Kyle Stowers. His home is left field. I think he had some time in right last year, if I'm not mistaken, right, Devin?
Oh yeah, I think we were saying before the episode, like, we don't necessarily want to. I don't think we're allowed to take a pure corner outfielder and put them in center. But as far as left and right, I think it's okay to, if they're a corner outfielder, I think you can put them in either corner for this purpose.
All right. Well, I'm going to go with Kyle Stowers in a lineup that has a lot of exciting young talent. What Stowers did last year to establish himself as potentially the face of that franchise. I'm going to go Kyle Stowers and take a nice step in 2026 for a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good spot there. I mean, you could have, if you had the starting pitcher spot available, you could have had a chance at Yuri Perez there. But I mean, again, Logan Webb, dependable. I mean, that's a great guy to have there. All right. And hopefully you guys that are listening or watching are playing along with us. I think that makes this episode more fun and kind of thinking about, is that the choice I would have made, or are these guys idiots? But here we go. Give me number 9. We haven't chosen any numbers from that row yet.
Oh, the Detroit Tigers. You could have went. I mean, you had your pick of the options, the 2 best starting pitchers in baseball. Dude,
if we had decided to do 2 starting pitchers instead of just the one, I'd have Skeens and Skubal, Dream Team, Team USA. Okay, so the Tigers here. All right, if I look at my roster so far, just have shortstop, third base, and starting pitcher occupied as of now. Okay, so I am going to go. He's not my favorite player here, if I'm being honest, because of all the swing and miss, the crazy, crazy angle of his swing. I'm not his biggest fan. I know some people love him. But with that being said, I have to go. Yeah, I mean, I have to go Riley Green.
All right, Riley Green. I mean, if you want to talk about an offensive superstar on that team, it feels like Riley Green fits that bill.
Yeah, we'll go left field for Riley Green. I don't think I mentioned the position, but left field.
All right, so let's take a pause for a second and kind of talk about your lineup. We have these teams on the screen you guys can see. If you're listening on audio right now, we have the teams that have been chosen thus far: the Cards, the Guards, the Rangers, the Tigers, the Marlins, the Pirates, and the Giants. So, Devin, taking a look at your lineup right now, you have two position players and a pitcher, right?
I have 3 position players in my starting pitcher, so Paul Skeens takes the bump for us. I don't have a closer yet. Mason Wynn occupying the shortstop position, going to hold it down defensively. Will probably bat somewhere towards the bottom of my lineup. Jose Ramirez, I mean, the great thing about him at third base, as far as the lineup goes, I could put him, I'd be comfortable as the manager putting him anywhere between 2 and 4 and call it a day. And Riley Green, to me, is a solid cleanup guy. You know, a lot of swing and miss, kind of all or nothing sometimes in the season. Lots of power, though. Showed a lot of it last year. So as of now, but things are going to change as these lineups fill. What do you have occupied right now over there so far?
So left field, I have Wyatt Langford. Right, I have Kyle Stowers. And on the bump, I have Logan Webb. So the more I look at it, of course, I get a veteran presence, Logan Webb. But I think as far as offenses go, I'm looking at my teams. I think I need a little bit of offensive prowess that comes from a veteran. So that's going to be in my mind thus far.
All right, I got you. I think that makes sense. Let's see what you go with here.
I'm going to go number 16 here. We got the Minnesota Twins, everything but the stadium on sale, of course. I mean, they went on there, and it seems like it's the window for winning is out there as far as the Twins go. It seems like it's a little bit of a dark time for them. But one of the bright spots will always be Byron Buxton. He's going to be my center fielder. Looking at some of the other guys on this team, you easily could look at a guy like Joe Ryan and be like, well, who knows what he'll be next year, but he would have been my starting pitcher if I didn't have Logan Webb. But I'm going to go Byron Buxton. Injury be damned. You know, he always has one of those stints on there, but Byron Buxton's one of the more athletic outfielders in baseball and so prolific when he's healthy and on the field.
Your outfield is set. I mean, if you're playing MLB The Show, you got Buxton out there in center, Stowers and Langford. I think you'd be pretty happy right now if you're doing one of those fantasy drafts on MLB The Show, putting a brand new team together. Logan Webb on the bump. Not bad, not bad. Now you got to fill the infield. So you need some infielders there. You got to hope the teams you choose are full of some solid infielders. It's going to get dicey towards the end. All right, so we each have 4 guys on our roster. I believe 7 guys to go with the way we're doing it. Okay, let's see what we have on the board. You know what? Give me number 1. Let's take number 1 off the board.
Number 1 for Billy Martin. Oh man,
got
Billy
right.
Dodds. Billy Dodgers.
All right,
here.
The Dodgers. Well, we do have a DH spot, so welcome to the team, Shohei Ohtani.
I mean, how could you not? Shohei Ohtani, and you're deferring all his money, I'm sure. Correct, right?
Every bit of it.
Every bit of those dollars are being deferred for the Dodgers. A lot of talent to choose from. And I was going to say for the Twins before, you guys remember, maybe you don't. If you type in my name, I did a mock draft with Scott White, and Ryan Jeffers somehow was picked in my draft, and it was absolutely obliterated by all the experts around fantasy baseball.
Classic moment. I wonder if we're going to get invited to any of those things this year. We did. I think you and I did at least 2 of them.
Yeah, I got an email from Scott White, so they're looking to have Tablesetters back on. So we'll be back on there. They're starting to rev up the engines a little bit in the offseason for some of these drafts. So stay tuned for that. Shout out to Scott White and all the fantasy pros over there. But I'm going to go with number 19 over here. Oh, we got the Baltimore Orioles. A lot of great stuff. Man, I love the talent they had already. But for me, it's hard not to go with the incoming first baseman, all the power he brings to the table, Mr. Pete Alonso. And the polar bear, rocking orange and black. He'll be my first baseman going forward.
I love it. I don't know why, but I'm over here. The Orioles symbol came up, and I'm singing to myself or in my head, Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso. Because literally my family, my wife, myself, my son would sing that every time he came to the plate and did something. And now it's kind of sad thinking that I don't get to do that this year as a Met fan. So I had to get it in there one more time, I guess. Old habits die hard, but yeah, you got that pop. I think a minute ago you said you wanted that veteran pop.
Exactly.
And you found it. All right. So I'm at the point where I need a first baseman, second baseman, a catcher, and I need to fill out my outfield and find a closer. So still a lot of work to do here. Let's go number 23. Some of the greatest players in all different sports of all time like to wear this number. Let's see what we got. The Cincinnati Reds.
Oh, you're all right. Your guy is there waiting for you if you want him.
No, he's not. My shortstop position is filled already, so I cannot.
That is correct.
take Mr. Ellie De La Cruz, who I've always been a gigantic fan of, has been on my fantasy team from before he was in the major leagues, still is. Oh, all right. So I have to go a little bit outside the box. He would have been my pick, no doubt. And I like their starting pitchers, but my starting pitcher spot is also full. It's also done. So I may actually go with a youngster here, but I'm just going to double check to make sure this is what I want to do before I pull the trigger too fast. Yeah, I think that's where I'm going to go. All right. So hear me out here. If you don't want to allow it, you don't have to, but Sal Stewart is a player I really like coming into the year. Looked really, really, really solid in his time with the majors when he was called up last year. Looked completely comfortable. Obviously, is in a nice hitter's ballpark. I think he's going to do big things. Not a guy who's talked about as much as some of the other big time prospects. I think this dude is going to be a very solid player for a long time. Now, he has position eligibility in a few different places, including first base. I don't know if he's going to have the traditional first base kind of pop, like 30, 40 home runs. I think he can be a little more of a doubles hitter, high average guy. But based on what I have open here, he has second base eligibility too when you look at the depth chart on Fangraphs, but only 7 plate appearances there. Projected for 168 plate appearances at first base. So I think second base is a little bit of a reach for me. So I'll be fair here. I'm going to put him at first base. Sal Stewart, not Spencer Steer. Sal Stewart.
Yeah, I love Sal Stewart. And you mentioned him being all over the diamond and looking at his eligibility and just the versatility. A lot of young talent over there. Another guy to look out for is Dane Myers. I think we discussed him a little bit on this show. But if we're trying to build up the assessment of the best team, as you mentioned, Ellie De La Cruz already kind of lifted out of the shortstop spot, so you weren't able to put him there. Of course, starting pitching was taken. I think that is the best option you could have went with. So a lot of young talent that's very going to be exciting to see at Great American Ballpark next season.
Yeah, I mean, Noelvi Marte, I'm still high on. Obviously, he's had a lot of starts and stops in his career, kind of position changes as well. Hopefully, we see a full season out of him. I wouldn't be surprised if he has a very solid season and kind of an eye-opening season for baseball fans. But when we're playing this game, I got to see it before I make him a choice here. And I could say the same thing about Sal Stewart, I guess, but I really liked what I saw in his brief time in the majors last year. I think he's going to be a very, very good player.
For sure. And I'm going to stay with the single digits here. I'm going to go with number 6. And man, I got the formidable chance of having the Colorado Rockies and looking at, and I actually said this as an example off air to you about what I would do if I landed on the spot, and that position is still open. And looking at that spot, to me, it's a no-brainer or where you go here. I'm going Hunter Goodman at my catching spot. I love Hunter Goodman, the player, and 6 foot tall, 210 pounds, an old school type of player, bringing a lot of exciting moments to Coors Field. Hunter Goodman, welcome to the team.
Yeah, I mean, you're lucky you had the catcher spot open. I'll just say that. You're lucky you had the catcher.
I mean, the
spot
other
open.
option could have been Ezekiel Tovar at short if I wanted to go that route, but
definitely
it is kind of a void of a lot of, I mean, there's a lot of good young talent on the way up, whether it's Brenton Doyle or Mickey Moniak. But guys, if you're trying to build up the war for 2026, if that is how we're assessing this, I think Hunter Goodman is the favorite by a mile here.
Yeah, and you said before we came on the air that you were prepared for if you got the Rockies. So, job well done. You could feel it. I guess you could feel it there. All right. So we're getting to the second half of filling out these lineups here. I have the catcher spot, second base, center field, right field, and closer left. Give me number 28, please.
Oh, the Chicago Cubs.
Okay. With the positions I have left, all right, well, you could go PCA in center. Great defense. You could go Nico Horner and be solid as hell at second. Also great defense. Doesn't strike out. Those are 2 really, really good options. It sounds like Seiya Suzuki is going to be back in right field unless they make some more moves here. He's not so bad either. I mean, not great defensively, but get some offense there as well. But I do think I'm going to go with the guy with the highest ceiling, and I think we saw it the first half of last season, and that's Pete Crow Armstrong in center field. How can you turn down? We already knew he was going to be an unbelievable fielder, but if he really is that offensive force that we saw in the first half of 2025, I mean, wow. So give me PCA in center.
All right, Pete Crow Armstrong going there, and he could have been a Met all these years ago, of course, Devin.
Oh, come on. You had to throw that in there?
I had to throw it in there, but hopefully he's more of the first half player, not the second half player, because it felt like he was going to be one of the faces of the league. But, baseball's a long season, and PCA maybe has to pace himself and figure it out because he got ice cold. But what we saw in the first half of the season doing on both sides of the ball, it's absolutely electric.
No doubt about it, man. And he'll be representing Team USA as well. So we'll get an early look at him in some big field games.
I'm going to go with number 24 here for one of my favorite Yankees of all time, Tino Martinez. Let's go with, all right, we got the Washington Nationals, the big curly W. Don't confuse it with Walgreens. So similar to Walgreens, by the way. Like,
yeah,
there hasn't been
I think it is Walgreens.
It is the W. So, all right, let's look at this team here and take a look. And this is a young, exciting team. We discuss it every corner. They were everyone's idea of a breakout team. Maybe they were a year away. I still think they're a few years away as far as being that powerhouse everyone wants them to be. My outfield is full, so I won't be able to take really the formidable force that is James Wood. Also, you look at some of the other talent out there. Dylan Cruz, of course, one of the guys you look at. This is a tougher choice, especially as we get lower down.
Well, can I jump in here? Let me ask you this. I don't think we discussed this potential or possibility here before the episode. Do you have your DH spot open?
I do, actually. You're right. And I guess
technically you could put any offensive player there.
So you might have been my saving grace here, throwing out a life raft here in the middle of the ocean, because I'm looking at these guys. So I'm going to go back on my word, and we get number 29 over here. The September 17th baby himself, James Wood, playing DH for me, and he just made the roster because I'm looking at these other guys. I mean, starting pitching probably would be the second strong suit, but this, I guess CJ Abrams would be the next best option, but this would be a very tough go. But James Wood, welcome to the team as my DH. Thank you for pulling me out of here, Dev.
Yeah, that was a mistake by me. I should have let you go.
I would have went CJ at shortstop, which I guess.
Yeah, which is not bad at all, to be honest.
Unless there's casinos around and he's breaking curfew and all that, but
right.
I digress.
Okay, so let's see. 4 spots still to get done here. Give me what do I want? I feel like I need something sentimental. Give me 17. You know what? The other day was 1/7. MLB Network celebrated it as Shohei Ohtani Day, who actually is a member of my team, but I thought it was Keith Hernandez Day. Oh, the Braves.
Dude, September 9th, they better celebrate Aaron Judge Day. That's 9/9. Can we please do that?
Oh, yeah, man, you're right. I get it. All right, so the Braves, not my favorite team. I'm a Mets fan. I grew up being absolutely tortured by the Braves. But with that being said, they have a pretty solid roster here. So right field, I mean, I got to be honest, Steve, I got some star power on this team. I already have Paul Skeens in the fold. I have Shohei Ohtani in the fold. I have Jose Ramirez in the fold. And now we're going to put Ronald Acuna Jr. in right field.
Can't blame you there. We talk about generational talent, and you gotta think. We talked about the exciting talent that's in the NL East. It starts and ends with a lot of the Braves talent you see out there. And last year, to me, feels like it was a blip on the radar. Would not shock me to see them back in contention for 2026 if things are breaking right. I think the fact that they're in the same line over here with the Orioles and the Braves, very similar teams that we could be talking about in high esteem on both sides of the leagues.
Oh, yeah, that they're just, I mean, I feel like we said this 2 years in a row now, but if they can just stay healthy and in a lot of different ways, that's the thing. I've mentioned this a lot lately, and when we get to the division previews, I'm going to mention it even more. A lot of people talk about the it factor. I've been talking about the if factor. Braves have a lot of ifs, and they most of them are regarding health, and Acuna is number 1 on that list. Spencer Strider is on that list. Chris Sale, who is no youngster, is on that list. Austin Riley is on that list. Ozzie Albies is on that list. We could go on. But such a talented roster if you really look at it. And the move they made bringing Robert Suarez in and Raisel Iglesias back, I mean, could be a force to be reckoned with as far as the back end of the bullpen.
Yeah, that would have been a good choice to get your closer in here, because I think as we continue to roll the dice.
Yeah, who knows?
Right now, I got 4 positions left to kind of put a pause in it right now. My catcher is Hunter Goodman. My first baseman is Pete Alonso. Second, third, and short are all empty, so I'm certainly going to be looking for those in my next 4 boxes being pulled. My outfield will be left, Wyatt Langford, right, Kyle Stowers, Byron Buxton, and center, James Woods, my DH. Of course, my ace on the hill is Logan Webb. So, Dev, you have what other positions left to draw here?
I have catcher, which, I mean, depending on who we get, could be very dicey. Second base, and closer, which, like you just alluded to, that could also be super dicey. I might just, if I leave that for the end, which I mean, it's close enough to the end at this point, I could be left with, not much of a choice and not get who I really wanted. But I'll ask you this before we move on. Do you think once we have our roster full, we should hit the pause button, form our lineups as far as 1 through 9, and then finish up with that?
Absolutely. I think a nice bonus
Okay.
would be maybe picking a guy that would be our manager of the team. Maybe you don't get extra points for it, but who would you want managing your team? I guess the way it's being made up and constructed. Is it Young? Is it a team that needs a hard-nosed manager, more analytic side, someone who might be sleeping like an Aaron Boone? Who knows?
Yeah, that's a good idea. We'll cap it with that at the very end. But I believe it's your choice, right?
Yep. I'm going to go at number 21 here. One of my other favorite Yankees, Paul O'Neill, the Warrior. And we got the Kansas City Royals, and I do have shortstop wide open. Bobby Witt Jr. Come on down, Mr. Witt. And again, sheer luck here. I mean, there's a lot of good talent here on this team, but this is the superstar player, a guy who's going to be there for a very long time. And could be Mr. Royal when it's all said and done. He's going to rival George Brett by the time it's all said and done.
Yeah, undeniable. That's not much of a choice there. If Bobby Witt is there and you have your shortstop position open, it's a no-brainer. So congratulations on Bobby Witt. You got a good one there. All right.
The middle of my lineup is pretty extensively good right now with Bobby Witt sitting next to Buxton and Langford and Wood and Alonso right now.
Not bad. This is going to be interesting if we get some good voting on this to see whose team gets more votes. All right. So we have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, about 13 or 14 teams that have not been chosen yet. I'm trying to think like who I hope I get to fill my catcher spot.
Are you looking at the colors in the corner too to see if have you been ignoring the colors? Because I see them; they're peaking.
Oh, I see what you're saying, but I don't know if that's actually giving me a real hint or not. I understand what you're saying. I wasn't looking at that. You know who I'm hoping for? I'm hoping to fill my catcher spot. I would love to get the A's, who have not been chosen yet. Give me some Shea Bangaliers, who absolutely tore it up the second half of the season. And obviously, I don't think we've chosen Seattle yet, right?
Nope.
So I could get Cal Raleigh. So you know what? I might not be in the worst spot here if those two stay out there. Give me number 15. We'll go right in the middle here.
Oh, you could go the West Islip from Long Island boy, Logan O'Hoppe.
I don't know. I'm not sold yet. I know what you're saying, but all right. So the Angels here, I'm looking at my roster. Not many choices. Logan O'Hoppe is one of them. My second base is open. I mean, if I want to go with the youngster Christian Moore, who I felt like I was just watching at Tennessee 2 days ago. Other than that, my only other option, if I'm looking at what I have open, is closer.
You don't have DH open? Your DH is filled right now?
Yeah, Shohei Ohtani. You kidding me, dude?
Come that's right. That's right. I'm full screen right now with the box right now, so I'm completely in the dark.
All right. I'm not sold on the catcher or second base here. I'm going to hold out, and hopefully I don't go wrong there. I'm going to take a little bit of a risk, but this guy is absolutely electric if he can stay healthy. I mean, throwing pitches at speeds we've almost never seen before. Easy to forget about him because we haven't seen him pitch in a little while, but Ben Joyce is going to be my closer, and I'm just going to keep my fingers crossed that he can stay out there healthy.
Is he on the depth chart as the closer right now? I know things were some up in the air for the Angels.
I mean, he's got the injury logo next to his name as of now. I would think as long as he is healthy or when he's healthy. I know they brought in Jordan Romano. They brought in Kirby Yates, Robert Stevenson, right? Who's been there, who also injury stuff. But looking at it, I feel like it's still got to be Ben Joyce's job.
And you're the one managing the bullpen, man. So you have that arm, you bring him in, you put him in that spot. You trust him. So that's the thing.
Ben Joyce. All
right, here. So I have 3 spots left, second, third, and my closer. So closer is probably the toughest one. So if I land on a team with a good bullpen, certainly grabbing it up. I'm going to go here, and it is the Sacramento, don't call them the Oakland, don't call them the Vegas Athletics. And, of course, looking at what they bring to the table, could have been Mason Miller, but it's not. He's no longer there, so it could have been a nice opportunity to bring in one of the best bullpen arms in all of baseball. But I'm looking at my infield, of course, second and third base, so I have to go that route. And looking at their situation at second and third, I could go Zach Geloff, of course, at second.
Jeff McNeil.
Jeff McNeil probably would have to be my other. How many reps? I know you have Fangraphs open. Does Jacob Wilson have any reps at second or third base at all? Any?
Well, the depth charts I'm looking at are giving their like projections for this year, so I'll look very quickly. Well, they have 28 plate appearance possible at second base for Jacob.
So that's your discretion.
Wilson.
I would go Jacob Wilson, but if you're thinking that's not enough appearances to make it go, I accept that ruling.
Oh man, so they have as of now Jeff McNeil projected to take most of the reps at 539 plate appearances at that position. Zach Geloff with 70 plate appearances. Darrell Hernandez for 35, and then Jacob Wilson for 28, Max Muncy for 21. I'm torn. I mean, I want to be nice about it here, but I don't know if he's projected for 28. Does that really mean zero?
Nah,
like, why would he play second base?
He shouldn't. You're right. We're doing this the right way. I'm putting Jeff McNeil. Put the squirrel out there for me. Started some fights in Sacramento. He's pissed that the locker room is minor league quality. He's upset. He's punching players. He brings a fire.
He's missing games for tea times. Like, let's be honest.
Exactly.
He's on
So
the
Jeff
golf course.
McNeil, come on down. He is a feisty player. You saw him. He's a utility player. Bring some of the veteran
Two-time All-Star.
Pete Alonso, Jeff McNeil right next to each other in the lineup right now. I'm looking at. I'm not saying they're going to bat next to each other, but Jeff McNeil, he does have some big hits for the New York Mets. Maybe he'll just rejuvenate his career playing in Sutter.
You think your clubhouse is going to be okay?
No, I don't think so. I'm worried.
You got to make a good manager pick, man. Someone who can handle those two.
Yeah, that's right. But let's look out here. You also have some spots left to fill and a lot of numbers left out there.
I need catcher and I need second base. My fingers, I lost the Athletics. I wanted Shea Langoliers. My fingers are crossed that I can somehow pick the Mariners here in one of these last two picks. So give me, trying to look at what row has the least. We still have 2, 3, 4 in the top row, 10, 11, 12, 14.
Second row has 4 left in there.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to go from there. You know, we have 2 AL West teams that were taken in that row. Maybe then there's another AL West team in there. Give me number 10.
Wow.
Yanks.
The Bronx
All
Bombers.
right. Okay. So I could just not hold out for the catcher and take Austin Wells. You could certainly do worse, but I think I'm going to take Jazz Chisholm Jr. and fill my second base spot and just kind of hope and pray whoever I pick has a decent catcher in my last pick. So yeah, Jazz Chisholm, more pop in this lineup. Lefty swing. I'm feeling pretty good about it.
I love Jazz in there. I really do. And we mentioned the arbitration thing on our last episode, 129. The Yankees obviously see value in him. There was a lot of trade discussion with Jazz, and I'm not saying the door is closed on that, but what we saw from Jazz, he was an igniter for that team that desperately needed in times when they were in a tough stretch. Yeah,
no doubt. I mean, he's a bona fide 30-30 type of player, and we don't see many of those. So like him or hate him, nice for the lineup for sure.
And I like him a lot. I really do. I think Jazz is a good player. I'm going to go to number 4 here. All right. We got the Chicago White Sox, and I know that they've been down on their luck, but they have a lot of great young talent on that team. But I'm looking to fill third and my closer. The bullpen certainly was not a high point for them, as is for a lot of these teams that are bad. Looking at third base for me, there is one option. It's Miguel Vargas or Colson Montgomery. Colson Montgomery, if you can look at the at-bats, I know he's their starting shortstop, but he's listed second in the depth chart. Does he have enough at-bats to put him at third for me?
Let me pull him up. My initial reaction is yes, I think so. To be honest, for a while, this might be MLB The Show related, but I've thought of Colson Montgomery as a guy who could be a third baseman, but Fangraphs is telling me I'm wrong. I hate to tell you. They don't have him projected for any plate appearances at third.
Wow.
It's basically Miguel Vargas, 532 plate appearances, and then you have a bunch of other guys for a very small amount of plate appearances.
Sosa probably is out there, right? Lennon Sosa.
Yeah, he's down for 14. Curtis Meade for 42. Murakami actually for 28. I don't think you're going to see him there, to be honest.
Oh, man, come on.
Yeah, no, Colson Montgomery, 602 plate appearances. I mean, I'll give you Murakami.
I'll take Murakami over Miguel Vargas. I do like Miguel Vargas as a guy, a hard-nosed player, but I'm going to take Murakami for the upside.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully no one hits it to him, but
I mean, what can just out of curiosity, I already picked him, so he's there. So what is his projected F WAR for the season as far as defense goes?
Oh, let me see if I can get it real quick here.
Just curious of what they're projected, because it's hard for the translation of the positions from.
Well, at third
internet.
base, it says 0 fielding F4, but that's probably because he's projected for so little time there. So if I go up to first base, it also says 0. So I wonder if they're just thinking like they don't have much to project with because he hasn't been on a Major League Baseball field. I don't know. In a way,
right.
Yeah, because that's what they have him for. I mean, to be fair, 490 plate appearances projected for him at first, and what would I say, 20 something at third, which again to me reads as like probably not going to see him there. But I think it's fair to give you Murakami there because he hasn't been here yet, and we know he's played some third over in Japan. So, all right, we're both down to our last choices here. I need to fill the catcher spot, and you need to fill what, the closer spot?
Yeah, I mean, it's a crapshoot, dude. If I get a bad closer, it could wreck my whole season.
Yeah. To be honest, I'm not that surprised that our last picks are coming down to these two positions. I mean, if a stud came up early, yeah, you fill it. But all right, kind of still holding out for Mariners to give me Cal Raleigh. I mean, that would be a hell of a grab right now. But I mean, my Metsies have not been chosen yet, right? I mean, Francisco Alvarez, you could do worse there. I could probably use another righty bat. I'm looking. I'm pretty even as far as the righties lefties now that I go. We'll go through that in a little bit. All right. Where are those Mariners? Give me number 29.
29. The Arizona Diamondbacks.
All right. So that's Gabby Moreno, yes?
All right. Not a bad catcher. It could certainly be worse.
No, a guy that's just not talked about at all, to be honest. I know Diamondbacks fans love him from everything I've seen. So, I mean, James McCann is there as well, but I'm not going to take him. So yeah, Gabby Moreno, 429 plate appearances is what he's projected for at catcher. 3.7 WAR, 5.2 fielding F4, projected to slug 427, hit 280. So a catcher that hits for average. Yeah, I'm okay with that. All right, Gabby Moreno in my catcher spot.
I think you did really good there. I mean, I think if you had to toss it up with some of the remaining guys out there in catcher, I think you did pretty well. I don't think he was the best catcher remaining, of course, but he might have been up there. But all right, let's see who my closer is and just roll the dice and kind of go all the way through. Man, I'm just going to go number 18 right here, and it's the Milwaukee Brewers. And who is the guy?
Oh, William Contreras. Yeah. I'm thinking catcher still. No, you need closer. I'm an idiot.
I need a closer right here.
I'm thinking of my own
Which,
team.
Again, I could do worse here. I mean, looking at some of the guys, the bullpens that were left, there's some bad teams left here. As far as my closer goes, is it Trevor McGill or Abner Uribe? Right, Abner Uribe is probably to be the closer this year. So
I think you have the freedom to pick either of them. I think they both are going to get saves if they're there.
I mean, I like Trevor McGill a lot, but I'm going to go Abner Uribe, go traditional as far as what their closer situation is going to be. He is officially their closer as of right now on their depth charts. I'm going to go Uribe as their closer.
Okay, and I'm looking here on Fangraphs depth chart projections. They have Abner for 72 innings out of the bullpen, projected 1.3 F4. It's not showing me projected saves here, but I'm sure I could click into that. Trevor McGill, 66 innings right underneath him, 1.1 F4. So, yeah, I mean, I would be surprised if those two don't end up kind of splitting saves. I feel like we saw a little bit of that last year. Great back end of the bullpen. It seems like they're able to figure it out in Milwaukee, no matter who they let walk out the door. Josh Hader, Devin Williams. There's even been rumors that they could trade Trevor McGill this year. So interesting. Very interesting.
So we're going to pause it really quick here, and we're going to assess and make our lineup, and we'll be back in 1 second to give you guys all those results. All right, we are back in time and space with all the results here. We have our lineups 1 through 9. We have calculated the WAR in total with all projections with the agreed upon steamer as our metric. A lot of great conversation, picking the teams. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the fun. Devin, what do you think of your lineup when you were able to sit down with it?
I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, there's lots of pop all over the place. And I think my biggest struggle was righty, lefty, trying to balance it. And I definitely made a few decisions that, I put a certain guy in a certain place that maybe I wouldn't have if I wasn't considering that. And I'll explain that as I go. But your general feeling of your own lineup when you were actually trying to formulate 1 through 9.
Unintentionally balanced. As I was looking at the construction of my batting alignments and the way this lineup had worked out, Just not to give away what I have planned here, but balanced very mightily with some righties and lefties and power and speed. Some guys for contact, of course. Murakami is the outlier, a lot of swing and miss, but I think that could be made up with some of the power we see. So I was pretty happy with what we were able to see. And looking at the advanced metrics of some of the defense and looking at the projected WAR on Steamer, there were some shocking numbers because, I mean, you and I were going back and forth, even for some of the players you picked. It shows how important defense really is about projecting how many wins a player would probably bring a team. And I guess that makes sense when you're looking at advanced statistics because it affects almost every single play if you have a guy out there that's able to steal some runs and help your pitchers out.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, we were talking as we were doing this while we were paused. On my side, Shohei Ohtani in my DH spot, but the way we're doing this, like we're not counting any of the things he's going to bring with pitching. And then you hear his projected F4, and it's lower than you would think because not only are you not counting his pitching, but he's DH, so he's not getting any F4 for fielding either. So we will go through it. If I go through my 1 for 9 and kind of explain as I go, do you also want me to tell everybody what the F4 projected is, or do you want to save that for after we go through our lineups?
You can go with it and give me your number, and then
Okay.
I'll give you my number. Right now, Devin and I do not know our projected because we sat here and I can make the assumption that who has amount of WAR for his players. And listen, WAR is not the be all end all, but it is a metric for us to project what our players will do in this upcoming season. And
Of course.
I guess it'll be interesting to look at the real numbers, the nitty gritty of it after the season, if we're able to continue and look at however many episodes we have through the 2026 season and go back to episode 130 and say, what did our guys do? How many guys spent time on the injured list? Were they able to go out there and put on an offensive showcase or be a wizard in the field or maybe be an ace of a staff?
No doubt. I feel like a weird connection to these players already, even though, I mean, they're not like a real fantasy team of mine, but this was fun. So, all right. So here's my lineup. I am very confident in the offense that I'm going to be able to put forward. I have two incredible players that have leadoff experience in Ronald Acuna and Shohei Ohtani. I'm going to put Ronald Acuna in that number 1 spot, a guy that can hit a bunch of leadoff home runs for me. Projected for 5.3 F4 on the season. Hopefully we get a full season out of him. He hit 21 home runs last year in just 95 games. Projected by Steamer to hit 31 home runs with 85 RBI. So, I mean, if he hit 21 in 95 games, Steamer has him playing 147 games this year. He probably goes over that 31 number if he can stay that healthy. So 5.3 F4 there in the leadoff spot. I'm going to bring in Shohei Ohtani and put him in the 2 spot, get a little righty-lefty connection there back to back. Imagine facing those two guys back to back, man. That is no fun at all. Shohei Ohtani, just the hitter, also projected for 5.3 F4, just as Acuna is. And then to my number 3 spot, I'm going to go with the ever so steady Jose Ramirez. I told you before, I loved taking him early because he was my first pick because, you know, Cleveland logo, the old Cleveland logo popped up for me. I said before, I felt like I could put him anywhere between 2 and 4 in the lineup. He gets 3 spot here, switch hitter, which really helps me out with the balance. Okay. He projects for 4.3 F4 by Steamer. In the cleanup spot, I said it before, the ultimate cleanup hitter, Riley Green. Crazy angle on that swing. He's going to go into some funks where he is striking out at an alarming rate. But he hits bombs. He's perfect in the 4 spot, 2.8 F4. I am then going to go with Sal Stewart in the 5 spot, which if you see who I have left, Sal Stewart, Pete Crow Armstrong, Jazz Chisholm, Gabby Moreno, and Mason Wynn, you probably wouldn't guess that Sal Stewart belongs in the 5 spot. I actually like him there. Steady guy. Like I said, I think he's going to be a double hitter. I am mainly putting him in there to try to keep the righty-lefty balance. All right, you had Riley Green right before him. Put Sal Stewart, Riley Green, the lefty right before him. Put Sal Stewart, the righty there next. He's only projected for 1.1 F4. To me, that's because we have not seen a full season out of him. So Steamer trying not to jump the gun here. Let's see what he does in the full season. I think he will surpass that if I'm guessing. PCA, Pete Crow Armstrong is going to be in my 6th spot. 3.5 F4 is his projection out of Steamer. Jazz Chisholm Jr., who very easily could hit in the top half of a lot of teams' lineups, is going to be down in the 7 spot for me. Projected 3.1 F4. Gabby Moreno, the righty, will be in my 8th spot. 3.4 F4 projected, pretty high number, and that's a lot of that is because of the steady defense he can bring. And then speaking of steady defense, in my 9-hole, Mason Wynn, projected for 3.7. I think they believe he'll grow as a hitter, but also is going to be an elite defender over there at shortstop. And then finally, Paul Skeens going to bring it as my ace pitcher, projected for 5.7 F4. Ben Joyce, who, looking up what he's going through right now with the injury situation, they have not given a timetable. He is expected to be back in 2026. When that might be, we're not sure, but there have been reports that he is expected to factor into the closer role. Remember, the other option at closer is Robert Stevenson, who also went out with injury. So some question marks there in the back end of the bullpen for the Angels. But this is a little bit of fantasy land anyway, so I'm very happy with Ben Joyce back there. He's only going to bring me 0.3 F4 projected, again, because of the uncertainty. Steamer only has him projected for 4 saves. If he's pitching for, let's say, at least half of the season, I think he's going to save more than 4 games, but pretty happy with it overall. I like what I have here. And so that gives me 38.5 total projected F4 with the 11 guys that I have on the roster.
Yeah, I like that lineup you mentioned before, not really understanding how, when you started working on it, how balanced it would be. But I think sort of what it lacks in sort of the righty lefty dynamic, you make up for it in all different types of players, which maybe wasn't as intentional because you were left with what you were left with. But I think by the end of the day, your lineup is pretty well balanced despite the alignment of lefty righty. But it's a lineup I would go to war with for sure. I think I would.
Well, let me ask you, like, would you have done the same thing as I did here? Because, like, obviously, just thinking of the talent and not righty lefty, I went Acuna, Shohei, Jose Ramirez, who's switch hitter. So again, the 1-2-3 has great balance. Not worried there at all. And then in the cleanup spot, Riley Green, lefty. If I didn't move Sal Stewart up for the right-handedness, it would have been Riley Green, lefty, PCA lefty, Jazz lefty. And then at the bottom, it would have been Sal Stewart righty, Gabby Moreno righty, Mason Wynn righty. So you would have had a lot, that I feel like makes it easier for a bullpen, bring the lefty in for these 3 dudes, bring that other guy in for these other 3 dudes. Like, do you feel comfortable with what I did with Sal Stewart, just trying to break up the righty lefty?
Yeah, I mean, if you believe in the player he is, you have to expect that he won't be a weak spot. I think looking at the projections, maybe they're a little bit not as high on him as we would have been, and looking at what he can bring to the table, I think he has to prove it one more year. But yeah, I mean, I would have done the same thing. Looking at the top of the lineup, you want guys to get on base, but also you got to think about situationally, as you mentioned, late in games against high leverage arms. You don't want there to be any spots where you have a bullpen has an easy way through of like, this is what I need to do. And lineups need to be constructed that way because there's only so much toiling you can do during the game. This lineup has to be kind of bulletproof. We saw these managers become masters of mowing them down if you have any weak spots in the lineup, and it could be the difference between a win and a loss in a big game.
The Sal Stewart projection is pretty interesting, fascinating, because like they seem to like him. They're projecting him for a 116 WRC plus, but they're also, Steamer is extremely low on the projection of how many games he's going to play. They only have him projected for 85 games and 350 plate appearances. Meanwhile, all the other projections, whether it be the Bat X, Oopsie, have him projected for 100, but still pretty conservative. So they seem like they need convincing that he will be a full-time starter. And I think if he plays well early, he will be, and then he'll surpass that F4. I mean, the projection is hitting 272 with 13 home runs and 43 RBI or 45 RBIs in just 85 games played. So if you extrapolate that, and let's say he plays 120, you're looking at a really solid rookie season for Sal Stewart.
For sure. And then kind of that's the idea I had. You mentioned building a lineup that can withstand the storm that is all these high leverage arms. That's kind of what I put together. And there is the traditional aspect of it too, where you want to put speed at the top of the lineup and guys and get on base and be scrappy. And putting my lineup together, just to be clear, when you went through yours, you were giving your players in their WAR first, or you went through your lineup first?
I was doing both at the same time. So I was giving their batting spot and then also chiming in with their projected F4.
Okay, so I'm going to lead off with Jeff McNeil here. I mentioned his spot in Sacramento. I think his offense will see a boost here. Projections do believe that he will have a little bit of a better season as far as being in that ballpark. He's projected for a 334 on base percentage, which should be interesting watching. Last year was a little bit down. Of course, you're not going to get huge power from Jeff McNeil. It'll be good for double digits. I think 12 home runs last year. He'll probably be good for 15 if you want to add the Sutter bonus here. But I put him over there. He's a lefty starting out there. He's scrappy. He's a guy who has shown that he can get on base to start the game. And then I wanted to blend in Murakami. Of course, the power. You look at a guy like him. He has prolific power. We discussed all that good conversation with Jim Allen about just what he was able to do and hitting all those home runs. He's projected right now by a lot of these metrics of hitting 32 home runs. The average is pretty low, 231, which, again, the strikeouts are going to be an issue. He's projected for a 1.9 WAR. He's at my third base spot. This is according to Steamer, and some of these things are a little bit different. We looked at you mentioned Oopsie and you mentioned the Bat X. Like there is a couple of different metrics that are a little bit higher on him than, Oopsie has a 2.5 for him. Steamer's at 1.9 and the Bat is a 2.2. So 1.9 kind of lands in the middle here. And I think it has to do with a lot of the holes in his swing. He has to prove it first and also the defensive liability as well. He'll be out there. The power is not going to be for lacking. He's going to go out there and he's going to put on a show with the bat when he makes contact. And what I did look at my lineup, Devin, like going through this, and again, it's all projections, of course, but there's all these guys that are hovering around 30 home runs, even in the back end of my lineup. And then we'll get to that eventually. 30 home runs for the 8 and 9 hitters. That's kind of what that's modern day baseball. I feel like everyone hits for power, but it's pretty impressive. But speaking of power, this is a guy who easily could slot in as the Baltimore Orioles cleanup hitter. He's going to be number 3 for me. We know the polar bear out there, home run derby champion multiple times over, projected for 37 home runs this year at Camden Yards. Looking at his WAR, 2.7. Defense, of course, takes a hit, probably adds to the projection as well. But I like him in this lineup. A righty, of course, balancing out the 2 lefties starting out here. So he'll be batting third in my lineup. And, of course, my cleanup hitter will be the superstar, the dynamic Bobby Witt Jr. He's a guy that we're looking at. He's projected for almost a 300 average. I would expect him to get close to that this year. 28 bombs, of course. Bobby Witt Jr. does it all over the field and makes up for it with defense as well. 6.4 WAR, going away, the most valuable player on my team. And I think that makes sense. I know people like to poke holes in the advanced statistics and the WAR and what it means, but taking a look at this and the way it's constructed, there's no doubt that Bobby Witt Jr. is the most valuable guy on my team, right? You would agree with the way this was drafted, right?
Oh, yeah, 1,000,000%. Absolutely.
So, yeah, Bobby Witt Jr. is my cleanup hitter here, and there's really no other spot to put him. I guess maybe in an all-star lineup, which is similar to this, you want to put him in a spot where he is protected. Hopefully Alonso gives him some protection here, which is what you want to see. At number 5, I have Wyatt Langford. He's also projected to have a big season, close to 30 home runs, 26 home runs, a 350 on base for him. Wyatt Langford is a guy, again, look at the advanced as far as the Steamer projections. He has a 3.4 WAR, which was third best on my team as far as projections go. Yeah. And I know everyone's been
a little
high
bit everything.
Yeah, exactly. And I think everyone's been high on Wyatt Langford for many years. Texas has kind of been in the shadow a little bit because they haven't been, back in the limelight, and they've been struggling as far as their team goes. So I feel like they're not playing on Sunday Night Baseball. It doesn't feel like they're getting the same superstar treatment that they deserve. But Wyatt Langford, let's not forget, is a guy who's going to be an absolute star in this league if he's not already. I mean, for the diehard baseball fans, we all know his name. But 2026 feels like it might be the year he takes that next jump into water cooler talk. Maybe the common baseball fan, the gauge is like my parents. Will they know his name? They don't know it now, but maybe they know it next year.
Yeah, I think everyone's kind of waiting for that jump. I mean, he put just an all-around season together last year. He seems to be durable too out there. And he seems like he's going to be the guy in Texas for the future, for years to come, if you look at that roster.
They got to fix that ballpark, though. It stifles offense for whatever reason.
Yeah, what the hell happened? I don't understand that at all.
Yeah, maybe it's similar to what we're seeing right now. Did you see the report that dropped in Santa Clara with the Niners with the electromagnetic energy that's causing all the ACL injuries? And I'm not joking about that. That's like a real thing. Their practice facilities next to, and they're like doing the readings in the ground. So there's like actual people smarter than me, scientists out there reading their metrics of like, this might be causing the rash of injuries we're seeing. So maybe it's something with the environment that's causing this in Texas.
Well, whoever figured that shit out, like, can we get on the Achilles stuff? Because if you're a listener here, I tore my Achilles back over the summer, and every day I feel like I see a new report. Like, what in the world is going on there? Is there some electromagnetic stuff for that too? Because anyway, give me your 7. I think you're the 7 hole right now.
I'm up to 6 right here with James Wood, and looking at his slugging percentage, 475. He's projected for 29 home runs, and that's about right. I think James Wood is a guy that we look at why the Nats were projected to be one of those understated teams to surprise people if they go anywhere in 2026 as far as competitive nature goes, it's going to be because James Wood takes the next jump into superstardom. I like the projections of the number fantasy wise. I love the player as well. He was one of the reasons that the guy, Mike Pizzata in our league won the championship. He was the proud owner of James Wood. So we know what he can do on the field. For my 7-hole here, Byron Buxton. It was interesting enough to look at the projection of games. They have him projected to play 130 games. Do you think you're going to take the over or under of Byron Buxton doing that?
I hate to say it, but again, if I'm trying to win money, I'd probably be careful and take the under there. But I hope they're right. I mean, yeah, he's an electric player. You want him out there, but it's tough to say, yeah, I'm going over.
Projected for 30 home runs in that spot as well, which is interesting, 29 and change. Yeah. But if you ever get 162 out of Buxton, it might change lives and feed families. That's what they say.
Yeah, and it appears that he's sticking in Minnesota. So see what they can get out of him, see if he stays there for good.
So he is at a 2.9 WAR for him. That includes the impressive defense in center field that he brings to the table when he's out there. One of the reasons he gets hurt, because he gives it all in the outfield. So also number 8, I have Kyle Stowers, my lefty out there. He's projected 25 home runs. I think he might have more. I would take the over on that based on what we saw last year. A full season of Kyle Stowers going out there, 1.6 WAR for him. Defensively, going out there and kind of learning the trade of being in the major leagues. Kyle Stowers is the guy, lefty, doing things out there. Exciting player. You mentioned some of the exciting players we see. May see Owen Casey joining him in the outfield as well in Miami. So a lot of exciting things happen for the Marlins.
Yeah, man, they're a team to watch if you want to watch some youngsters that have a lot of impressive skill sets. That's a team to turn on the TV and give them a watch for sure.
So my number 9 spot is Hunter Goodman. And I mentioned before when we were getting ready to do this, like if I get the Colorado Rockies, I want my catching spot empty because I think Hunter Goodman is one of the bright spots on this team. I had the honor of having him in fantasy last year, a reliable offensive force. Of course, you add in the Coors factor. He's projected for 30 home runs in 2026. He hit 31 last year. To have in your 9 spot on your roster, have 31 home runs coming in that spot, I think anybody would take that. And as far as the balance go, if you're paying attention, it's left, right, left, right, which is a nice balance as far as you mentioned the bullpen arms, but just for some of these rotations to go through these guys of trying to game plan, and it kind of brings to the table, I wouldn't say slump proof because all these guys have the ability to kind of get cold in the long season, but there is an eclectic mix of talent and the skill sets that kind of give a range of not everybody's going to go cold at the same time. Like Murakami's going to strike out, but you're going to kind of make up for contact with McNeil. Same thing with James Wood, getting on base, all those things. So I kind of like the way this worked out, even though, it was all blind at this point.
Yeah, you got some options there. I'll tell you, if I'm being honest, the only thing that surprised me was how you went about your 1 through 4. I could see a world, you put Bobby Witt cleanup, you put Pete in front of him at 3. And Murakami, trusting him at number 2, who maybe I'm old school here. I think of a number 2 hitter as that guy, that contact kind of guy.
Yes,
old school leadoff is a guy who can get on base in a lot of different ways, has some speed. Then McNeil, can put the ball in play. So I don't have a problem with that with who you have on your team. I would consider Bobby Witt number 2, Pete, to give him protection, right? You got to pitch to Bobby Witt because Pete is behind him at number 3.
Sure.
And then Murakami, who is more of a power bat, but a strikeout guy, maybe him at 4, or maybe even James Wood at 4, and then Murakami. There's some mixing and matching, which is the fun thing about this. But and Bobby Witt, I could even consider Wyatt Langford at leadoff, and then Bobby Witt, Pete.
True.
After that, you have a lot of ways you can go. I mean, even Byron Buxton, you could kind of hit him anywhere as well. So it's a fun one. Give me what did you have for the projected F4 for your starter and your closer, and then tell me your total F4 to compare it to ours over here.
So Logan Webb going out there with a 4.1 for me. And for Abner Uribe, 0.9. Not sure what you got on your closing side. But
0.3 for me. So you got more than I did.
Okay. And my total was 29.8, which is the exact number that I got.
All right. So 38.5 over here, 29.8 over there. But again, these are F4 projections, and that is not necessarily how games are won and lost. So when we do throw this up for a vote or for some comments on social media, give us your 2 cents here. Tell us what you thought, and don't just necessarily go by the F4, because there are times you look at certain rosters and you like one that has less F4 better than the other. So be creative there. and we'll get it up there so you can actually see it written down and think about it and tell us what you thought about this segment. Is it something we should bring back from time to time? And any changes you would like to see next time we do it. Maybe we could just build a pitching staff one of these days.
The other thing I'm interested in is looking at the F4, and we don't want to subscribe in all of it, like Devin was saying, because there are things that happen in the field that can't be quantified with the projections of these systems. They're not perfect yet. They might be perfect in the future, but to see Murakami looking at a player that's transitioning over, and we mentioned the discrepancy between the numbers, whether it be 2.2, Steamer's at 1.9. But have a guy like Kyle Stowers out there who does a little bit of everything on the field, had a 1.6, while Murakami, we talk about the holes in his swing, talk about the power. He's projected for 32 runs. Stowers is projected for 25. So is the extra 6 home runs that much more, or 7 home runs, to make up for the defense and the strikeouts and all that? So it was interesting how they measured Murakami for sure.
Yeah, that unknown, and it goes for some of the youngsters too. I mean, you mentioned Stowers. I mean, Sal Stewart, we talked about a little bit about like how he could really surpass his. And then honestly, some of the superstars too, I feel like they're pretty conservative with. Like if you go look at the top 10 players last year and see some of their F4s, you know, some of those guys are super high. Judges was at what, like 10 point something?
Right.
Meanwhile, you have F4 giving Acuna 5.3. And again, that might be, let's see how many games he plays. Ohtani, just the hitter Ohtani, giving him 5.3. Even just the hitter Ohtani, I think, can surpass that. Jose Ramirez only giving 4.3. I feel like you can see him surpass that. So I think on the conservative side for most of these guys, which is fine, but something definitely, like you said, I'm going to keep this in my notes, and maybe later, maybe if we can remember at the end of the 2026 season, see how close this was as far as projection wise to what these guys actually added up to.
Yeah, and I'm really confident looking at just a Wyatt Langford. The more I dig into his numbers, I think everyone's high on him. So it's not like you're preparing for a fantasy draft sometime in March of like, I'm going to surprise my league and take Wyatt Langford. Everybody knows how good he's going to be. But there may be a time during this season at some point, just like we have the conversation about Byron Buxton, like he might be the best player in the world when he's screaming hot. Wyatt Langford feels like he's approaching that territory at some point where he might just be, for a stretch of the season, if we snapshot him, he might be playing like the best player in baseball because he has the skill set to do it. And I don't think we even touched the tip of the iceberg with him yet. He's a guy who's going to just mature. He's going to get better. Hopefully Texas builds around him. And, you know, we talk about the lineup and Witt Jr. in fourth, and, you know, that maybe that's not the approach he would have took, but talk about protection, Wyatt Langford being behind him. Like if you don't pitch to Witt, you're going to be punished by Wyatt Langford behind him.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And that gives Wyatt Langford the chance to bat with guys on base, hopefully with Bobby Witt there. Interesting that Skip Schumacher actually said back in December, the new manager of the Rangers, that there's a possibility of using Langford as their center fielder this year. So another way, if you're out in center field, to possibly add up some F4 there.
So this is dropping middle of the day on Friday. If you guys have not listened, go back and listen to our reaction to the Edward Cabrera trade to the Cubs. Also listen to our conversation about the meeting that is looming on Monday between Bo Bichette and the Philadelphia Phillies. Chime in the comments. Do you think Bo Bichette will wind up in Philadelphia? Do you think a reunion with the Toronto Blue Jays is inevitable? Do you think another team is going to swoop in and steal Bo Bichette's services? Will he be a New York Yankee? Potentially, will he be going elsewhere? Because Bo Bichette right now, we talked about the numbers. I understand he got hurt, but this is an elite player that is still out there on the open market. And we still have some other players like a Cody Bellinger, like Ranger Suarez, Framber Valdez. Is Tarek Skubal going to be traded? All these conversations and more. It is January 8th as we're recording. We have about, at this point, 10 weeks, 9 weeks until spring training, right? So we're at this point, we're getting ready. And something has to give. We are getting some news every day. Rob Manfred had a good conversation today, dropping some hints about what baseball will look like. Don't forget, Rob Manfred's the same dude. We talked about the golden at bat rule, that nothing happened. So let's not get crazy thinking about Rob Manfred's making all these changes. But at the same time, opening the conversation and kind of opening everybody's eyes to what Manfred sees as the future of baseball. So he talks, you need to listen, everybody.
Yeah, and as far as, mentioned Bo Bichette, it feels like he might be the next domino to fall here, with lots of people suddenly getting back to the table for his services. But these will be my last words on this episode. Can we stop it with the whole Cody Bellinger might be a better signing than Kyle Tucker thing? Like, this is getting crazy to me. I think people are going a little too nuts with some of the analytics, and I understand the positional, versatility and that kind of stuff. But man, some of these tweets I'm seeing and certain teams prefer Cody Bellinger over Kyle Tucker. Stop it. Stop it. It's just getting ridiculous.
The revisionist history of Cody Bellinger is interesting, and people need to understand.
Seriously.
Like we talked last week with the Cody Bellinger piece that the Cubs were in on him, which again, it's like so hard to believe that the Cubs did what they did to push him out of town. And same thing with Tucker. You know, they traded for Tucker. It didn't work out. It seems like both sides are very upset. But going back to episode 129, we discussed the Cubs being in on one offensive piece. That might be Bo or it might be Alex Bregman. So I think the Cubs aren't done as well. We mentioned these dominoes being interconnected. It feels like they would hit into each other and start this effect where everyone's going to fall, but hasn't happened quite yet. We got some big news. It is feeding us all throughout these episodes. We're finding ways to keep you guys informed, but it wasn't the wave of the winter meetings we were looking for. There was conversation. I'm not sure if you saw on Twitter and other reports, Devin, that there were asks from everybody but the players to put a deadline on these long-term multi-year contracts. Did you see what they had put out there?
Yeah, you're talking about the people tweeting out the idea.
There was a owner and just a GM type of feeling, and even the other side of it, that everyone is looking to put a deadline to push everybody to sign these multi-year deals prior to a certain deadline.
Yeah, and I saw a few players respond to it, including Brent Rooker, who every once in a while gets there on Twitter and puts some good stuff out there. Basically saying, you guys have to realize that is the most anti-player thought that you could possibly have. So that, like, as fans, I think people are thinking they want action. But if you like the sport of baseball and respect these players, what you're suggesting is terrible for the players. It's awful. It puts so much power in the owner's hands. So I get it. I think I've even mentioned that idea before, but when you really sit down and think about it, you are taking lots and lots of power away from the players in that situation. And I don't think that's necessarily the right thing to do here.
So with that being said, make sure you guys follow us on Instagram and on Twitter at Tablesetters Pod. Check out our episodes in the past. If you're new here, you're here from the last dive bar reel I put up, or you're just one of the followers, check out episode 24. First of all, welcome. Thank you guys for following us and enjoying the show. Hopefully you guys stick around for the remainder of this offseason. And then for the full season, I have a lot planned for you guys. And also, if you could, please leave a 5-star review. It goes a really long way, helps us in the algorithm, helps other baseball fans find us, and would mean a whole lot if you guys did that for us. It takes 5 seconds. And if you're feeling even more kind on a Friday or a weekend, sit down, write a little review about why you like listening to the show. We appreciate every time you guys tune in and engage with us every day. Just trying to get a little bit better, trying to engage a little more, and grow the game of baseball. That's what it's all about. We all love talking about it.
Yeah, come back. Hopefully you enjoyed what you heard, whether you agreed with everything, disagreed with everything, or somewhere in between, more than likely. And we'll be back very soon to talk more baseball. Hopefully we get some news here in the coming days.
So we'll talk to you soon after a while. And as always, everybody, happy baseball.